Good morning and welcome to the Red Mic. Happy Friday. Sorry for the late start. I wish I could say it was a technical glitch, but no, I've got to go do some things. I'm going to the ortho again. Got a tooth issue and thought I was getting these things off in this month, but no, I'm going to be in them for another 2 months. So, 2 years promised. It's going to stretch into what is that? 2 years and 9 months. Yeah. Anyway, again, welcome to the Red Mic. Thanks for being here. Happy Friday. I hope you have a good weekend. Let's jump right on in. These Red Mic messages are leadership and life lessons I've picked up mainly from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. Going to be a whole lot of pop culture in today's Red Mic message. Couldn't help it. Started writing this, putting my talking points together, and realized, well, that's like so and so, and that's like so and so. And I ended up coming up with a whole lot more examples than the four that I landed on here. The four types of leadership. Leadership comes in a whole lot of different forms, right? I've mentioned it before. I mentioned it yesterday extensively, right? You can have autocratic leadership, democratic leadership, servant leadership, or transformational leadership. Whether you're commanding with authority, building consensus, serving others selflessly, or inspiring transformation, your leadership approach can change the way outcomes happen. It can influence success in different ways. If you understand the different styles of leadership, you can, yeah, you can lean on one more than any other, but occasionally you're going to have to pepper things, right? Um, Without going into any details, I had to get a little autocratic this week, and boy, it's out of my comfort zone. Um, anyway, let's uh, let's dive in a little bit more, shall we? Autocratic leadership. Well, I mean, you know what the word autocratic means. Well, imagine Darth Vader as your boss, right? He calls all the shots. He expects complete obedience. He makes quick decisions without any input from you at all, which, frankly, yeah, it can work well if swift and decisive action is needed. But think about if you were underneath the thumb of an autocratic leader all the time. I saw a meme, and it was a stormtrooper, and it's sitting next to what appeared to be the girlfriend or a wife, and he had his helmet off, and he said the caption read something like, in my heart, I knew they were the droids I was looking for, but I got all confused, and man, I just know he's going to force choke me. So, imagine having that type of pressure on you day in and day out all the time, where if you mess up, Lord Vader's going to go. Well, it would have to be frustrating and ultimately demotivating, right? And that's the big downside of autocratic leadership. Yeah, you can get things done, but your people are going to feel overlooked, undervalued, and frankly, they're going to be in fear for their jobs most of the time. And I've never been a fan of using fear as a motivator. I had a predecessor at one of my other jobs where, man, when I got there, the people and staff almost had PTSD like symptoms. And no, I'm not trying to equate a bad workplace with combat, but what I mean by that is they were jumpy. They second guessed a lot of what they were doing. They frankly didn't trust anybody. They thought another catastrophe was right around the corner, and that stemmed from long-term use of autocratic leadership. Occasionally, if you've got to, unfortunately, occasionally you got to metaphorically crack some eggs, right? So that's when sometimes throwing in a little bit of that autocracy into your approach might be the way to go. Again, I don't feel comfortable doing it all the time, but then again, I'm not a Sith Lord either. So, all right, democratic leadership. What's more democratic than Captain America, right? He listens to everybody's insights, and Tony tells him about the tech, or, you know, Bruce Banner tells him this, or, he hears about strategy from Natasha or uh, from uh, from Barton. He listens to everybody, but then he makes decisions, and takes their input, and they come to a consensus, right? That's all well and good, but all that discussion, frankly, can slow things down. You know, everybody's sharing ideas, and you might miss an opportunity. So, democratic leadership builds team commitment and morale, but it's going to take time. It's not, as the IT folks are happy to say, it's not agile. So keep that in mind. Okay, servant leadership. Atticus Finch, who I thought of almost immediately. Obviously, Yoda, or Yoda can fit into a lot of these, but okay. Servant leadership. Atticus Finch standing up in his community, doing the right thing when it'd be so much easier to just go along with what the crowd wanted. Focusing on doing what's right, focusing on the other person's needs, putting their needs above your own. That's a lot. I mean, I'm wired that way. To me, it's always about what have we accomplished? What have we done? What have you done? How are you improving? How are I hate I hate taking credit. I just do. I want to shine the light on the people on my team. I want them to know that I've got their backs. And yeah, it builds respect and trust, but at the same time, while you are in that leadership, that servant leadership mindset, you got to make sure that you are not willing to take bold action, to pull that trigger, to be autocratic or be democratic or even be transformational when the moment calls for it. Build that supportive environment through servant leadership style, but don't forget, you got to step up and make a firm decision too. Last but not least, transformational leadership. Um, I thought of three examples. Two of them, ironically enough, were characters who were played by Patrick Stewart. I thought of Captain Picard. I also thought about Professor X, Xavier, Charles Xavier from the X Men. Um, and they both fit the mold really well, but I decided to talk about Neo. Um, in the Matrix, looking to his transformational leader, Morpheus. Okay. Morpheus trains Neo to fight, but he doesn't want him just to fight. He wants him to become the best version of himself. He pushes him to see beyond his limits. He helps transform him in from that, unsure computer nerd that wasn't sure which pill he wanted to take. And he ended up making him the leader that everybody needed. The leader that he needed, the leader that Morpheus needed, the leader that the entire environment, the entire world needed. He painted that bold vision of what he thought Neo could be, and he put challenge after challenge in his way, forcing him almost to reach his full potential. Transformational leadership, it can be intense. It really can. Um, it can be tiring for your staff. Not thinking that they can ever, take a break because you're always pushing them to to the breaking point almost. Be demanding in your transformational leadership style. Be motivating. Bring out the best in your people, but also recognize when maybe they need to take a break. Maybe they need a minute to breathe. Things like that. So that's my take on the 4 leadership styles. And what's the best one? There's no good answer. I mean, you heard what I said. I'm partial to, the Ted Lasso approach, the servant leadership approach. Each style though they've got their own strengths, they have their own weaknesses, they have their own challenges, and my challenge as a leader is getting out of my comfort zone and using the other 3 when I need to. So, am I a great leader? I don't think I'm there yet. I hope to be. I think great leaders know how to adapt and change their leadership styles on a dime. And for me, that's a struggle. And I'm continually trying to figure out, okay, did I do that the right way? Should I have done this? I need to address that in myself. So my advice to you is use a little bit of all 4 of these when you can. Yeah, don't be afraid to lean on one more than the others. Um, but at the end of the day, the best leaders are flexible. They're able to read the room, read the moment, and alter their approach that best meets the needs of their team in that moment for the best outcomes. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I hope that you'll give me a like, a follow, and a share. I hope that you'll be back next weekend or next week on Monday. I'm going to have a fun weekend. We're going to see some friends this weekend, and hope to see my younger kiddo, my boy Daniel. Hadn't seen him in a while because of us going out of town last week with our trip to Flagstaff. By the way, Flagstaff was beautiful. I know I said this on Monday and Tuesday, but man, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But glad to be back out of the dry air. Anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. I will see you again Monday. Again, please give me a like, a follow, and a share. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday. And don't forget, life is short. Drink the bourbon.